Shut up and sit down.
And welcome to the Week 4 edition of the BlackSwarm podcast. As always, Hank Pfeiffer here with Rob Antonell. You know, the winning can't go on forever as Massillon falls to Bergen Catholic 35-21. I guess those rumors about them being the best team we've seen in the last 15 years look pretty true. And, you know, this is kind of weird because this is the first podcast we've done immediately after a loss since, I think, week 1 of the 22 season. So, you know, a little more solemn than we're used to, but hey, it's going to happen eventually, so let's just dive into her. Rob, what do we think of the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a really good team. I don't know if they were the best team we faced in the last 15 years, but a very quality opponent. My only comment on that aspect of it is I wish it wouldn't have rained. I would have loved to see how that game would have played out on a clear night. Not saying that changes the overall outcome of the game of who wins, but I think it completely changes, what we could have done, how we would have done it. But they're a big formation, heavy set run team. Of course, they had a few dudes on the outside, and we saw that displayed. Not very much. We were able to contain them, but gave one big touchdown to their 5-star Ohio State receiver. But outside of that, they're kind of a ground and pound team, and it starts raining, and it didn't hurt them one bit. Whereas, us, we wanted to pass the ball a little bit more, and you understand how difficult that becomes in a pretty heavy downpour. So I would like to see how it went on a clear night, but a really quality opponent, and you're not going to win all of them, and it is what it is. But you keep it moving.
Yeah, one of the big talking points coming into it was, can we clean up all the penalties? And we had an extremely clean game. I don't even know, did we have any penalties on the night?
I mean, I'm sure we did. But yeah, it was a really clean game, no personal fouls. It seemed like we were getting lined up, and none of the dumb mental mistakes. So we kept saying that they would clean it up when they needed to, and it's kind of unfortunate that we had to wait until you needed to clean it up to do it. But they are capable of doing it. It's not some super undisciplined team where week in, week out they're going to have these dumb penalties and teams are going to take advantage of it. That was our big talking point after 2 weeks, and obviously we can put that to bed after a really clean week last game.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, 4 penalties for 16 yards, so obviously not a lot going there. Just, I can't even really remember them off the top of my head, but total of 16 yards, nothing much at all. I think a couple things with penalty-wise, you want to see like maybe a little bit of holding from the offensive line, especially when you're that, equal talent, if not maybe they have a little bit more in the trenches where your guys are really trying to win. And I would always tell the offensive line, make the refs call it every time. And can those holding penalties be a drive killer? Absolutely. But it's one of those things I'd rather see it from you trying to give that little extra effort than no penalties at all. I know that was like what you texted me after the Cleveland game when they didn't have any. But yeah, good to see all the dumb shit getting cleaned up. Team seemed really locked in, and even at like sideliner, dinner on Thursday, everybody was locked in, ready to go. They all knew what was coming into town, and we were with them there for a while. We did some cool shit on offense. Defense was able to contain them for parts of the game, but a team like that just lives in that ground and pound and grind you out. We've been that team many years, many times over the years, and it's just tough being on the other side of it. They get in those super heavy formations. I think they went a lot towards the end of the game to just 10, 11, 10, 9 guys on the line. So I had to do the math there real quick. Just the 13 personnel, you're 5 linemen and 3 tight ends all just on the line, all those gaps you have to defend, and when they can get push up front, it's tough going. It's tough sledding. Our defense did a really good job containing that run in a lot of portions of the game, but when you can't get anything going on offense, it's always a complimentary football game, and especially with, our defense. This is not to say anything bad about them. They're not doing a bad job. They're still a phenomenal defense, but when you take a step back from that all-world defense we had last year that could go out to you and win those games, you have to give them a little more on offense. And, we just couldn't quite get it done, and the rain did play a big part of that. But it just it is what it is. You take the L, you learn some lessons. How does the Paul Brown quote go? Because I've heard it both ways. I know you say everyone says it backwards.
I think so. I'm never going to admit that I'm wrong about it. Because I went my whole life believing it was one way, and I thought everybody else was wrong. But the more I look into it, the more everybody says it the same way except for me. But I disagree with that saying, and I still think it's better the way that I say it.
So which way do you say it, and which way does everyone say it? Because I can never keep it straight in my head.
So my version is: when you lose, say nothing. When you win, say less.
Okay.
It's a form of being humble and. Keep your mouth shut when you lose. You got nothing to talk about, and then when you win, it's even less. We don't brag. But I think what all of the national people say, it's when you win, say nothing. When you lose, say less. But I guess it can go either way. It doesn't really matter.
You're just that meme of the dude standing up in the Norman Rockwell painting of the standing up in the meeting like, you're all wrong. So yeah.
I've done that many times, yeah.
So if anybody can actually cite that quote for us and not just other people saying it, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, because I've seen plenty of the quote out there, and it's all the other way. But I need to know the origin. Where did it actually come from, and how was it said the first time it was ever said?
Yeah, I get it, both ways, because when it's. And now I have it backwards again. How did you say it? When you lose, say nothing. When you win, say less? Okay. So I could see it the other way as well. It's when you win, say nothing, that whole be humble thing. And when you lose, say less of just be humble, learn from it, whatever. Yeah. Whatever your own personal takeaway is from it, go for it. But yeah, so we're going to take that quote to heart, whichever way it actually goes. And, regroup and... Got another out-of-state team coming in, one we're actually pretty familiar with. We've seen them at, much higher levels, and we've seen them down as well. So I don't really have much else on the game specifically. I guess I do.
It's so do I. So
all right. So it's amazing how, so many different people can watch the game and just not see the same thing at all. I remember walking out, and I had to take a quick pit stop at the bathroom because I had a long drive to get to where I was going for the weekend. But, just talking to somebody, and he was like, yeah. I was like, the line couldn't, the line had, not that the line was doing bad, it's just they had some dudes they were trying to block up in front of them. So obviously the pocket was collapsing fairly quickly, and we're used to that. But I made a comment to that effect, and the guy was like, yeah, but when the quarterback's hold on to the ball for forever, it doesn't help. And it's the receivers weren't exactly just running free down the field either. We have dudes at the receiver core, but they had dudes in the secondary as well, and we had trouble finding space to get open. And it's when the quarterback doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to, and it's a guy like Slaughter who's gonna sit there and try and make a play, I don't know what you expect from him.
Yeah, the game is still won up front in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And I think our line on both sides of the ball, maybe underperformed is the term. I don't want to say outmatched, maybe outmatched is better. I don't know. Would you rather say they underperformed or they got outmatched? I don't know which one's actually better to the cause.
I would say they got
Um,
outmatched because they were, we talked about it last week's episode. They were just duded up everywhere. Their strength of the defense was their line and their secondary, and their offense was they obviously had dudes at all five spots and the tight end spots. But
yeah,
you know,
I mean, with the amount of players that we rotate and how young we are, I mean, it makes sense. We're still trying to figure out who's going to play right tackle for us. We changed out tackles last game. We went from one sophomore to another sophomore. On defense, we rotate a bunch of sophomores on the defensive line. We had a sophomore linebacker out there for a while. We had a sophomore safety out there for a while. It's just tough. So, I mean, one comment that I made, and I'll let you do your little scheme spiel here, but a comment I was making during the game is, we run this, you know, 3-4-4-3, the jackbacker. He's the hybrid. He can play up in space. He can play down on the line. It works so well. It's so versatile. But when you're playing a team that's just lining up and mauling it straight down the field, that's what they're trying to do. We're just going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I would like to see a little bit more beef out there. I feel like you're willingly giving up 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds in that specific position by having a jackbacker out there rather than defensive lineman. Now, I understand our specific team is pretty light on the defensive line. It's Big Mike and four sophomores. So, you might make the argument that our jackbacker is going to do a better job in the run than what one of the sophomore linemen would. But, I think other teams are going to see this and they're going to say, we're just going to run the ball down this team's neck. And it's not that we've done that historically, and it's not that it's been happening this year yet. But when you play a quality team, like what is St. Ed's going to take away from this game? That they're going to try to beat us over the top every time? I mean, St. Ed's is looking at Bergen Catholic going, we're pretty similar to them. They just went heavy and ran on Massillon, and Massillon didn't have an answer for it. And I think St. Ed's is going to say that's exactly what we're going to try to do too. We're going to go heavy, and we're going to try to run on them. They're really young up front, and that the scheme fit is keeping a jackbacker in there that's 70 pounds lighter than our left tackle.
So I'll touch on the scheme a little bit. Schematically, the 3-4 we run is a lot closer to the 4-3 that we ran with under Durbin, for a frame of reference for you, and 4-3 under front for anybody else that knows balls, so they can understand this shit. So you have a nose guard lined up in a 1 tech to the strength call. You have a 5 tech also to the strength call. Normally, you would have a 3 tech to the backside and then a defensive end to the backside. And then if they have a tight end or something, in the more heavy sets, you would have your sandbacker walk down on the outside short of the tight end. Yada, 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 since it's gone more spread. Your Sam is more of nickel safety type player, more playing space, because you don't see a lot of these run heavy teams. The meta nowadays is 3 receivers and the wing fullback type deal. Your backside end, you're just walking him up off the line and basically playing that Sam backer spot, but to the weak side, and you're taking your 3 tech and bumping him out to a 4-eye. What we've seen teams do schematically in the past to attack that, since you're essentially leaving a soft edge on the weak side, is try and run buck sweep at that. Like, get guys pulling out in space, kind of running side to side to get upfield to attack that, since you don't have a hard edge setter. Now, Bergen Catholic didn't really do that. They were just, their most successful runs, they were just running the ball right up the middle, right down our throat, and it was the 3 guys down on the line inside just getting pushed off the ball. And I think you're just, when you have a mismatch like that, obviously Big Mike's a dude. He's going to be doing his thing. I would love to know how either the staff, the scheme, or just he decides which one of those three defensive lineman spots to line up in.
Yeah.
But he can still, he can hold the point of attack plenty well, if not outright penetrate the gap, just get in the backfield and blow up the play. But it's the other two guys down on the line, the sophomores, that seem to be a little bit, overmatched, I guess would be the best way to put it. So I don't think they were attacking us schematically in that sense. And I think with this, like you said, we're a little bit light as far as defensive line depth goes. And I don't know how much subbing out our regular Jack Backer and just putting another, for lack of a better term, fat body down on the line would have done much. That if he's playing a 5-tech and they're just getting, 3-4 yards of push at both A gaps, I don't think that's really going to do too much.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it because our Jack Backer is a D1 player, and in my scenario, you're throwing a backup sophomore in there to replace him. But one way or another, I think there's going to be times where we need to get a little bit more beef out there. When this team was running the ball and they were reaching our third level untouched, it's great that Hack and the other safety, 2-7, were able to rack up a bunch of tackles. That's good, but they're essentially just catching the running back at 8 yards. That's all we saw in the second half was them playing their safety spot, getting met 8 yards downfield, catching the running back and falling over. And that's not going to be able to stop that type of offense, right? They're making tackles, good job, but unless we're making contact 2, 3, 4 yards from the line of scrimmage, like that's just obviously not sustainable. So, good job on the safeties of making the plays, but we got to be making that down towards the line of scrimmage. We can't have the entire first and second line just being washed out of the way and then waiting for the running back to get up to the safeties.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too with the safeties playing so not soft as in physically soft, not wanting to hit, but soft as in coverage, kind of staying back a little bit, was
deeper, yeah,
was because of their Ohio State wide receiver. So, you can run, and then as soon as a play caller or, quarterback, you see those safeties start to creep down 8 yards into the box and be super aggressive on the trigger, they have a mismatch out wide. And that's not a slight to any of our DBs. That's just dude's dude. And,
Yeah, but here's the thing. When it comes down to they're getting 8 yards of carry and it's a downpour, sometimes you got to take that one-on-one chance. I mean, they beat us over the top one-on-one, even with the safeties playing back. If they wanted to run a guy down the sideline, they're going to run him down the sideline. The safety's not doing anything to that. So, I mean, sometimes you got to stack the box, get some beef out there. Ask some of these offensive linemen to go both ways and, say, how slowly can you die against a pass rush? Hey, Davenport, I don't know if you've played defense in 3 years, but can you go out there and just engage somebody and not get pushed back 5 yards? That's all I really need from you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't hate that idea. That is something we employed against East St. Louis, but I think a part of that was because they had so many two-way players that we were just like putting different guys in so much to keep everybody fresh that it wasn't necessarily like fill the lineup with the beef. But it's a tough thing because you face so many of these quasi-spread teams nowadays and so little that can actually line up in those true heavy personnel sets in the on their own 20-yard line and march the ball down the field, that if you want to carry as much stuff on defense as we do, coverages, blitzes, and all that it's just like offense. You can only carry so much. You can only put so much on the kids, so you're going to pick and choose. All right, what are we not going to see pretty much at all this year? uh, a team full of Division One players, Division One blockers, and that could just run the ball down your throat. All right.
Yeah, because we knew Bergen Catholic didn't run this type of offense. We know St. Ed's doesn't run this type of offense. We know Hoban doesn't like to do this kind of offense.
I don't. I philosophically, yes.
I don't think we should change our scheme. Obviously it works, but I think there's a time where you need to be able to go heavy, right? Early in the game, I look at you and I go, "Do we have a heavy set on defense?" You're like, "Yeah, probably." And I think they get the ball down to like the 3-yard line. They do a wholesale substitution. They come in as heavy as you can possibly make an offense. And our regular defense is still out there. The same defense that's going to defend 3rd and 12 is defending the goal line. And they just popped right in. And I think it might be a depth thing on the defensive line. But, at some point in time, the young kids either need to grow up quick or we have to find a way to beef it up, because it's not impossible for a team like Ed's, for a team like Hoban to line up heavy and try to run on us. We've seen it before.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe this is the game. You get punched in the mouth, you learn some lessons, and then you keep it moving. Maybe they are just the beefiest, best run blockers that we're going to play all year. I don't know. I can't say for sure.
I think both can be true.
Yeah.
That can absolutely be the best running team that we see all year. That's not out of the picture. It's just, how do we take this loss and better ourselves moving forward? That's all.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, they did do a lot of heavy package stuff that I've never seen any other teams really do against us. Not that it was anything in particularly special, is just different. How often do you see a team line up with just 9 guys on the line of scrimmage like that if it's not some kind of wildcat package? With their first scorer on the goal on that goal line you're talking about, they lined up in like a power I 2 fullback set with the running back deep, and they handed it off as a sweep to one of the fullbacks with the other one lead blocking, going opposite the way the running back did. We've seen Hoban line up in that Maryland I formation for how many years now, and they run like 2 plays out of it. Just basically power without a pull and ISO. They don't, you don't see any sort of misdirection stuff or those just, okay, we're stretching the line of scrimmage out to the E gap. What are you going to do about it type deal? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe, like you said, lessons learned, and we start getting some guys in, getting an idea of some depth that we can pull from the offensive line. Maybe wholesale defensive package addition that we can pull out later in the year, or just a one-off. It is what it is, and keep it moving. That is yet to be seen.
Yep, I agree. And then I think, in general, hopefully the offensive line gets healthier here moving forward and a little bit more experience with one another, and we can settle in on, who our 5 starters are, where they're going to line up, and, they can protect Slaughter a little bit better, because he was moving around a lot. And I think he does such a good job managing the pocket that sometimes people don't realize that there is pressure on him. Just because he's able to move, slide, find open pockets, doesn't mean that he's not being pressured. He's trying to get to that 3rd step in his drop, and there's already somebody stopping him from just pushing off his back foot and releasing. So, we got to find a way to, protect him a little bit better. That's been seen in all 3 games so far, is him just kind of surviving back there and making the most of it. But we need to do a better job with that. And the same thing with running the ball. Got to establish the line of scrimmage. I think at one point, and he might have finished the game this way, but I think Gamble was averaging 7.5 yards a carry, and that there wasn't one like super long run that was an outlier for that.
I mean, his first touchdown run, he bounced it, so we pulled out the power ISO. I don't think I've seen us run it yet this year. And we did a little bit of, added a little bit in the run game and in the pass game. I like the game plan going in, but it seemed like we were very boom bust as far as the run game goes. We were either getting, more than either a big 10, 12, 15-yard run or just getting stuffed. And
Yeah, so I think where I wanted to go with that was I want to say he even ended the game averaging like 7.5 yards per carry, and the longest was like 20 some. So it really wasn't skewing the numbers too much. But I think everybody realized that wasn't sustainable. I think he did a good job of kind of finding a crease on a couple of runs that really helped out.
mm-hmm.
But we knew that we couldn't just line up and run against this team. That's why we were still passing it when the rain was at its heaviest point. And I think that's kind of an obvious concept that nobody's really going to argue, because if we did think 7.5 yards of carry was sustainable, we would have kept doing it, right? Our coaches aren't going to try to pass the ball if we're getting 7 yards a pop. So I think the numbers may have looked like our run game was in better shape than it was, but Gamble did a good job of finding a small hole, and I think that's kind of going back to what you said. We're either getting stuffed or he finds the one small little crease. There weren't really just holes opening up for him.
Yeah, so I did the math on it, and you're right. He did finish the day with 7.5 yards a pop, 98 yards net, and accounting for that one 32-yard run, his long, I think that was the first touchdown we had, he averaged 5.5. But,
yeah,
like we've been saying, it wasn't hand the ball off to him. He's getting 5.5 yards every down. He's getting 10 or 12, or he's getting stuffed, and suddenly we're behind the chains. And, credit to their defensive line. It's kind of weird talking about it because everything I'm saying, I feel like it's a slight to our guys, but it's really not, because, they just came out and they were dudes, and you're going to have that sometimes. We're so used to being on the other side of that, just outclassing most of our opponents.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always do that. Not every team is going to be a Glen Oak or a Warren or a what have you.
Hey, look, if you're going to be a top 25 ranked team in the country and you're going to play other teams that are ranked top 25 in the country, like sometimes you got to say apples to apples, right? You can't just leave the game going, they're better than us. It is what it is. If you want to be a top 25 team in the country, if you want to be the number one team in the state, you got to act like it, right? So, yes, we went against a very, very, very good team, and probably the best team we'll see this year. But just to use them being good as an excuse, I think we have to have a bigger takeaway than that. So it might sound like I'm being overcritical, but I'm just treating us like a top 25 team. So either tell me, Rob, we're not that good, right? We're not a top 25 team. We're not a top 50 team. We really shouldn't be looking at that, even though we've been on the most dominant streak for the last 8-9 years. Like, forget that. We should be comparing ourselves to Warren. We should be comparing ourselves to Fitch. And that's not where I want to hold us. So am I being overly critical? Yeah, probably. But I'm going to treat us like the top 25 national team that people think we are.
Yeah, no, and that's very fair. And I wasn't trying to say that you're being overly critical or I am. I just feel like,
well, I have to say it because other people think it, so I got to defend myself.
I'm just trying to say, when I say, hey, a lot of the game we're lining up, running the ball, and just getting stuffed, and it is what it is. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's not that we underperformed; it's that we were a little bit outmatched. And yeah, is it fair to hold us to the standard that we want to say we're at now, with that state championship under our belt and being in the top 50, top 25 of the nation for however many in-season weeks has been? Yeah, I think we do need to hold ourselves to that. But with that, talent-wise, we took a step back from last year. When you graduate that many seniors, it's bound to happen. When you're starting that many sophomores, this many young guys, this many guys without real meaningful game time experience, it's bound to happen. And these are just you're going to have bumps in the road with that. And this is one of those bumps in the road. So there wasn't anything, there wasn't anything in particular that I think we did bad, that like we underperformed per se. I think we just ran into a meat grinder on this one, and for a lot of the game we were swinging hard and we got some good hits in, but when that clock hit 0, we didn't come out with a W.
Yeah, and I really do think weather played a really big part in it. But all of the critiques that we've said so far, I think are fair. But again, back to my very first statement, I think we'd be talking a little bit differently right now if it was a clear night.
Yeah. And just an FYI for anybody out there, I found the app that the games are streaming on now. The replays are on there for free. And I was just scanning through it a little bit, checking out a little of this and that. Towards the end of the game, after it was soaked out there, like, it wasn't even just, that it's harder to throw when the ball's wet or anything. It was like there was a couple bad snaps, a couple mishandled snaps, and because the ball's so wet. And with that, he's having to drop his eyes, pick it up, gather himself, find where everybody is on the field, and oh shit, now I got a guy in my face, got to scramble out, got to try and make something happen. Guys aren't getting open, lines just collapsing. Weather did play a very big part, but that's just football, baby. Like you said, about can't use it as an excuse. We're not trying to do that, but that just kind of is what it is. And when you're a pass-happy team like we seem to be this year, come late November and first week of December football, it's not going to be 75 and clear and balmy out. It's,
Yeah, I was gonna say we haven't had one in a while, but there's plenty of times where the state championship games were played on fields where they had to shovel the lines, snubble the show off the lines so you could see. You have to be good enough at the end of the year to play that style of ball. You don't need to be doing it week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but by the end of the year, you have to have a plan in place to where if the weather is just atrocious, this is still a playoff game. We got to win.
Mm-hmm. And, one thing I did like in our game plan was when the weather did turn shitty, we just didn't try and line up and run the ball down their throat. And, we've kind of seen that in the past a little bit where it's like, this is our game, we're going to do it, and you're just getting stonewalled, nothing's going. We still tried to be who we are. I've always been a big proponent of, ride the horse that got you there, but at the same time, have a plan for what's in front of you. And I think we understood the mismatch in the trenches we had, and we couldn't just survive trying to run the ball when the weather turned to shit. Now, with that, can we install some new stuff? Can we have some different, like, run-heavy looks or just different ways to be able to run the ball? Sure. Last week was week 3 in a brand new offense. There's plenty of time to add stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that Coach Wood wants to add to the offense that's not quite there yet because, again, you're teaching a bunch of 15 to 17-year-olds what to do. 11 people, 12, 13, 14, 15 starters, rotation guys, how to all act in unison. A lot of times that's going to be like wrangling cats. So, now's not the time that we need to really necessarily worry about how to play that big boy football in late November. But here is the beginning of the roadmap to, oh shit, what are we going to do when this time comes?
Yep, I agree.
So, with that, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, awesome. So we will move right on into the film room. Just got a quick recap, huddle recap of the game, a couple highlights, get a little bit of higher notes in there than what we've been talking about. Quick little preview of Canisius, and we'll keep it moving. Alrighty, let's dive right on in. Like I said, got the huddle game recap. A pretty good amount of big plays we had, so let's just start a rolling. I think this was the our first offensive play of the game, where we ran that tight end screen, not screen, little hitch route right up the middle. This is the third week in a row we've ran it, but we've run it out of a different look every time, which I like. You have a couple staple plays you want to get to, but you dress it up in various ways to keep the defense on their toes. Don't just telegraph what you want to run as you're lining up to run it.
Yeah, I still don't understand what the line is doing going upfield, but
yeah, that one's also kind of a mystery to me. It seems like, the whole concept of it is you're attacking the flats, getting the tight end sitting right there in the middle, and the line is releasing for some reason. It was week 1. We just lined up in our normal, very similar to this. I think might have been the exact same formation, except the tight end was into the boundary. Just had the slot receiver on the opposite side run a flat route, running backs releasing away from that, and tight end running his hitch. Week 2, it was heavy personnel, tight end, on the line like this, except you had split backs, running back on either side. They released to the flats. And now running it with a jet sweep action, running back releasing opposite side. So you're still getting that, pulling defenders with pulling your flat defenders quick out there and just leaving the middle wide open for them.
Yeah, I mean, I like this one because you kind of pull 2 backers with the jet motion, and then the one backer goes with the swing route. So it really does open up the middle, and just a different variation of the play we've already been running. But it's just the line releasing that I think confuses all of us. But, I mean, it's been working really well, and, just having that tight end replace a linebacker is a nice little play call that's been getting us some decent yards this year.
Mm-hmm.
Also nice to see that Zimmerman's back.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgot about that one. Our starting tight end, wing back from last year, doing a lot of work in this game, both in the run and pass game. First touchdown of the day. This is our, power ISO concept. So it's very similar to power. Let's see if I can get this. So let's say if it was power right, you'd have your up back kicking out the end, your play side of the line just all down blocking, working a double team up to the backside backer, and your guard pulling. Instead, you're just base blocking that defensive end with the tackle, running your up back up to the play side inside linebacker and wrapping your backside guard for the backside inside linebacker. So it's like power, except you're just basically kind of sort of inverting the tackle and up back's responsibilities. But like a lot of the game, nothing quite going up the middle. And then you see 21, he sees nothing going there, bounce it, make a play. You normally don't see power bounce all the way back to the complete backside alley, but when the defense is lined up heavy like that, everybody in the box, not much going, and you got wide receivers out wide that can make a block or two like Jacques does out there. That's one of those things you tell the running back, you made a hell of a play, kid, but don't do that again.
Yeah, it was actually I didn't watch most of the line the first 10 times this ran through. I was just watching Zimmerman at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's always assuming it was a run to the left this whole time. Because Zimmerman does a good job with that block. But now that I know it was supposed to go to the right, maybe he should have had better inside leverage. I don't know. But, defender gets inside of him and he just flushes him down, and Gamble's able to get outside of all of it. Great run. But, yeah, I mean, play side, just nothing's happening, right?
Yeah, no, nothing going.
Let's see here. Fullback gets met in the hole. Guard tries to get up there, but there's nothing there. He gets cut, I think.
Yeah, guard gets tripped up. He gets
He doesn't really get cut, but yeah, and they squeeze the hole. Both their middle linebackers, just 1, 2. That's kind of teach tape, right?
Yeah.
Outside. Well, I was gonna say outside shoulder, inside shoulder of the fullback, but fill the hole, and there's just nothing there. You got an edge defender down here on the boundary, so I mean they play it right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hole.
Yeah, it looks like our right guard actually gets pushed back far enough. It messes with our pulling guard or left guard, his path, and he can't even get to the hole before about when the run should get there.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong dude lined up over the right guard right there. But yeah, we're actually fortunate that the end decides to go inside of Zimmerman, because if he stays outside of Zimmerman, there might really not be any hole at all.
Yeah, and there's center's blocking back on him. That's an interesting way they handled that. So if I was just drawing this up on paper, as far as the backside goes, you have your center block back on, looks like a 1 tech or maybe a 2I.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you'd have your center block back on him. You would have your left tackle just gap hinge inside, take care of that defensive end, and then you would have your tight end gap hinge as well, just kind of extend the end and take care of the last 2 guys on the end there. Instead, we send our tackle up to, I think he's going for what is essentially the Mike backer stacked over top of the center. Try and have our tight end cut off the 5 tech over the left tackle and leave that far defense, that Sam backer just for no one, because obviously if this play just hits up the middle where it should, he's too far away to even make a play on anything. So it's high school ball. You can leave guys unblocked if they're far enough away from the action.
Left tackle is doubling.
Yeah, it looks like the left tackle is doubling that 1 tech, which is interesting, and I think tells me that's either a missed assignment by the left tackle, or that is they think that highly of that nose tackle, which
I have no issue with it, because what else is the left tackle gonna do? Just base block the end, who's already being blocked by the tight end?
Well, no, the tight end, if the tackle base blocks the end, then the tight end would take on that Sam backer on his outside.
But you don't need to. You can leave him unblocked.
Exactly.
Like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, I don't have an issue with the left tackle doubling. I guess it helps prevent him from running through past the center real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I guess getting more blockers to the right side, what would be the benefit of having the left tackle and the tight end both block left compared to, I just...
Yeah.
Now, if that end was like blowing past our tight end and it was too tough of a block for the tight end, I can understand it. But Zimmerman's able to get hands on, no issue there. So I guess I have no issue with I don't see any problem with the left tackle going up for the double. But yeah, I understand how you're saying that's a little bit different than how you'd normally draw it up. But
yeah, I just breezed through as like a basic X's and O's, less game planning. I kind of said all that to say you're putting your tight end, Zimmerman, in a bit of a harder spot to cut off that end, who is in a much better position to make a play on that.
Yeah, true.
But, it's a good job by Gamble. Also, I don't know how much he got upfield specifically to suck up the rest of the defense versus just he got there and decided to go make a play. But how aggressive he did get upfield did suck in that Sam backer trying to wrap back over the top, which cleared him out of the way for this bounce.
Yeah, so I know this is a highlight, right? And
Yeah.
it's a highlight for Gamble
Yeah.
scoring the touchdown here. But I also think it's a very good depiction of how little our offensive line was able to get a run block. I mean, there's just nothing here. If that Sam stays outside of the tight end like he should have,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a negative 3-yard run.
Yeah,
The entire
exactly.
the entire point of attack is just blown up, and then they have an edge defender on both sides. I mean, you're sucked in. You got nowhere to go. And I mean, luckily it's high school ball, and you can go be a dude and outrun a few cats. And even if that Sam is on the outside, like maybe you like your chances with Gamble taking him 1-on-1 in space.
Mm-hmm.
But the way this play is drawn up, there is nothing that gets nothing about this would make you want to run it again.
No, especially with the defense they came out in, because it is honestly kind of bullshitty. Like, if we decided to run at the tight end side rather than the fullback side, they have a Mike stacked above the center, another backer stacked above the right side B gap, and another backer, probably the roll down safety, right up there in the alley, and you're leaving essentially your corner and your free safety in space to the tight end side. Coming out in a balanced run look like this is, it's pretty interesting how they sold out formationally to the fullback side on the first drive of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you could go backside B gap, backside C gap, A, B. Yeah, you go B or C, backside, and I like how that's drawn up on paper a lot more.
Yeah. But, obviously we like this. We liked our chances with the play. We don't do nearly as much check with me as we've done in the past. It's kind of one of those line up, let's run it. We can at least get a couple yards and understand how they want to line up to us formationally and figure out how to attack it later. But, Gamble just decided, nah, I'm going to go be a dude and get us on the board.
I didn't like that route combo down low.
I was trying to.
I mean, they have it covered really well, which I think is what affected our, the marks of the route.
Yeah.
But
I was trying to figure out like what it was supposed to be. Is this like double post wheel?
It's like a double post wheel kind of thing, yeah.
Or maybe even like a. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks like our number 2. He tries to cross face, it gets held up. But yeah, I mean, this is why Slaughter had to hold on to the ball for so long, is because not much going as far as the downfield passing concepts go. And obviously you see the pocket collapse on him pretty quick.
Yes, I mean, Malone needs to be able to get into space quicker without getting rerouted.
Is he a junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore,
He's been playing both ways, too. I didn't even account for him earlier when I was talking about sophomores who play defense. He was in that, like, whatever our pass package is, speed package or whatever.
Yeah, like basically our nickel.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough because he's probably not expecting that linebacker to get out on him that quickly. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the spacing of it, but really, I think it's because they defended it so well.
Yeah.
But is that Wells, Ricardo Wells in the slot? Yeah, Yeah, I mean, that corner's just sitting there waiting for him, as if he knew. He's just pass it off.
I mean, when you see him get outside, but like staying vertical like that, you can kind of sit on it easier as a defender in space, I assume, because he's not really
Why
attacking
don't
the
they?
flat like a true wheel. It's almost like a. He's almost running it like you would a switch, like a.
Yeah, it's not really a wheel as much as you're wheeling him off of the double post. But man, did they pass that off just beautifully?
Just,
So
basic cover three, really.
yeah, that second defender is just playing the flats and takes the last guy out, and man, I mean, maybe you have a chance of getting past him if it was spaced out more.
Mm-hmm.
But since the wheel ends up being so close to Carter's post, there's just no room. And you wouldn't really want Wells to run outside of that defender because it would have just taken too long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's just I mean, somebody put this in a coaching clinic of how to defend, trips with that deep. Oh, that's just beautiful right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you.
And, you could see, I think that's Carter at the top, kind of at the top of the three receivers, kind of starting to pop open a little bit, but the safety's right there for him.
You got a high safety right there. Yeah.
You got a high safety, and if Wells, you said Wells was the number 3, right?
I think that's
Yeah.
it.
Even if he can turn on the burners and clear that defender and get past him, right here's I froze this on here on purpose because this is where Slaughter, cocks back to get the ball out. He made his decision. It's pockets collapsing. I got to get the ball out of here. If he held on to it like a beat longer, you have the pocket collapsing in front of you. That DN just got the left tackle to get a little too far outside. He's making his way back in. He had just no time to sit back there and pat the ball. So just getting this out with, what's essentially a well-covered downfield route distribution. Good play by Slaughter. And great catch by the running back as well.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like Slaughter may have had a little bit more time than when he threw it, but
Yeah. But also with that,
he still had a clean pocket. I just don't know if anything was going to come open. Maybe Malone across the middle, but that would have had to been feathered over top of the backer. No, he's just held up, and he didn't come back across the middle anyway.
yeah. But
So, I mean, you basically got two guys running right at the safety, and you had the wheel that was stacked behind another receiver. That's just, that's not the spacing you want on that route. Maybe if Malone cuts back over the middle, you might have him over top of a linebacker. You can kind of high-low the safety.
yeah.
Post dig with the wheel, but you got two guys. Yeah, that's just there's no space in here.
Yeah. And even if the pocket was, for all intents and purposes, pretty clean, Slaughter's been running for his life for the last 2 games in most passing situations. So he's going to be a little more skittish, a little more quicker on the trigger to get rid of the ball because that's what he's had to work with this entire season so far. It's fresh in my mind because we look like ass, but Joe Burrow a lot on Sunday against the Pats was getting rid of the ball fairly quickly down low because he's also been used to having bad pass blocking in front of him. And so I say that to say even quarterbacks, at that high of a level, that high of a talent level are going to feel that when that phantom pressure, the Sam Darnold seeing ghosts out there of, oh shit, I've been holding on to the ball too long. I usually can't have the ball this long before I get hit or I have to start running. Let me just dump it off right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he realized nothing was going to open up over here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's I like. I don't like it, but the amount of similarities we can tie back from this to like the Browns game. Mind you, the Browns offense looked way, way, way worse than what this Maslin offense looked like. But, the concept is, when you're used to the pocket collapsing around you, you're going to do your reads and you're going to get it out. and you're gonna take this. It's on the highlight tape right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being a sack, instead of being a forced pass downfield that could be intercepted, just check it. Nothing's open, check it down. Let's keep it moving.
Yep, it's 1st and 10. Check it down. Live to fight another day. Worst case scenario, in a good way, is he catches the ball, gets tackled, and then it's 2nd and 5, and you're still ahead of the chains. But obviously, he gets outside, makes a little bit of a play, attacks the vacated space because the defense did such a good job carrying that route distribution. That's how you make something out of nothing, really.
I don't really like that the backside is just a decoy route,
Mm-hmm.
but because I was going to say that's maybe the one thing that Slaughter could do. Let's say that was a backside curl or something.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, play side, absolutely nothing's happening. I got this one-on-one backside. But, I mean, either that's just a decoy route or he doesn't try and do any form of a route whatsoever. Because that got a little lazy there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't look like he was going for much there. And at least in, high school ball, in most scenarios, your backside guy, your X receiver is going to be your dude. That if you get that one-on-one matchup, you can just say, screw whatever concept we got going on. Let me chuck it up to my guy and let him go make a play. But again, we talked about the corners on this team. One's an Ohio State commit. The other was going to Michigan, if I remember correctly.
Minnesota.
And, with that much space, unless you give him like that option route of, if the corner's playing that far off, run a hitch, if he's pressing up.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not running a fade here, and maybe that's what it was. He's like, oh, I have no chance of running a fade here, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
But run a curl, run a hitch.
Yeah, something. That's just something else to look at in the future. The one thing with anything like short, like, curls or hitches backside like that is how quick that backside backer can just drop underneath it, because we really don't have any route occupying him. We don't, especially in high school, you're not running empty protection much, if at all. Yeah, the running back gets out on the route in this, but that's because he's checking protection first, making sure there's no blitzers coming. So if you try to do any sort of like route combo backside, well, you're out with your running back. He's out of the protection now, and you're running empty, and shit starts getting a little hairy right there, especially against high-level defenses like this.
Yep.
Oh, the old screen and go.
Yeah, so he does a really good job of selling that. Just the angle that he takes. He starts going out, he even turns himself towards the corner before turning it up, and that's just, it's a great route.
It's the first time I watched this play down here to the two receivers out wide, but they're running the same thing. They, who's that, number 10? Does a really good job himself of selling it. Obviously, they kind of cover it a little bit better there, but didn't need to look that way. This is the first time I've seen us run this with the, tight end type player getting out there in space, which sells it even more.
Yeah, I like that. And because that defender's not used to having to defend that. I mean, down here, that corner knows exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he tells the other guy, hey, you go up, I'm back. He does the hand sign. Hey, you got it. That's you.
Yep.
I'm back. And he's just reading the quarterback at that point. But if the quarterback would have came back down here, that corner's dropping, and he would have been in the play. Wasn't open.
Yeah.
But up top, you don't have an Ohio State corner up there that's used to reading everything in the field in front of him. You got some kind of like linebacker that's, he'd rather go kill the receiver that's about to catch a screen pass than worry about the fake.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how we dress it up even more with that just quick motion across the formation. That's something we've seen how many years now, where we're just doing that quick change of strength pre-snap to run the ball at the fullback tight end. But now we're not only pairing it with a pass play, we're pairing it with the fake screen and go. And that's just another way to get a little more, creative with your pre-snap shit, because obviously you can just line up and run this. But when you're giving the defense that much more to think about, like, okay, motion, change of strength, oh shit, I got to rotate down. All right, stay with them. Nope, screen pass. No, it's not. Damn. Like I said earlier, we came in with a good game plan, little creativity on offense, and as an X's and O's nerd, love to see this type of shit.
I want to see us do the double fake screen and go.
What's
against a like aggressive corner?
Mm-hmm.
So let me watch the top side again real quick, because it doesn't really work backside. So, all right, so you got to imagine how that corner is pointing to holes at the top.
Yeah.
But instead of it being like Zimmerman doing this, try to imagine out of a 2-receiver set.
Okay.
So you have the slot that goes out to fake block and go, but the receiver is also doing the fake screen catch and go.
Oh, so you'd almost like...
So just watch totals right here, and imagine if as soon as the corner committed to this, just boom, back up. Oh.
So would you...
I don't know. It would take a second, but I think that it's from there. You'd basically have two guys going deep. So in case one guy drops, you could still have a second guy going deep off of it.
So would you send them like essentially inside up the seam and almost treat it like a switch vert, or would you have them?
I don't know. You'd have to have one of them run more up the seam and one of them more. I just don't know which one does which. It would depend on how the defenders are playing it, but
yeah. I mean,
so like down low, you would rather have. Shit, I don't know, but yeah, you go from it's a fake screen like switch vert.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I mean,
it would only work. It would only work against like an aggressive defense where they also are probably going to drop somebody.
Yeah.
Because if you're completely faking them out of your shoes, you only need one guy.
Right.
But if one guy drops, now you also have the second defender that you could wheel off of it or release up the seam if you already went down the sideline or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, now hear me out on this, it probably wouldn't work against a cover 3 look like this, because you have two inside linebackers that can drop into coverage and eat up space. It would really work much better against a cover 4 type. But how Mike Leach would run, he called it sluggo, but essentially everybody's just running your basic ass 2x2 smash, and then you have one of the guys running a hitch route run a hitch, pause for a beat, and then break into a slant.
Yeah.
And I think with how the guys drop like that, and you're going to have a guy coming up aggressive on the fake screen rather than trying to turn upfield, maybe just break across is like a super short post or a slant type route. Be able to hit him in stride and pick up some yak. Obviously, it would work much better from the field side than the boundary. But, spitballing here.
Yeah, I mean, like down here to the field, you would have the slot guy run the slant. And you'd have Carter, run like the wheel off of it. Because if you have the outside receiver run like the slant, chances are the aggressive defender is already running in, from out to in.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess it depends. I mean, if he's coming from the inside, right? If the slot goes to block the corner, and the number 2 defender is the one crashing on the screen,
yeah,
then you can basically just replace him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you would
Yeah,
have
yeah, okay.
Jacques right here, basically just break in right now. So like, let me see. So it would be like fake, fake, break. Like hit that slant real quick. You got a lot of green grass to hit in front of you.
Yeah.
Whereas those dropping backers might be, are they in a better spot to play the slant? Are they in a better spot to play the seam? I don't know, but I feel like there's something there. Coach Wood hit us up. That's at BlackSwarm Pod. We're full of ideas.
Yeah, I like that. Block the number one and replace the number two.
Wait, what?
So, I'm naming off the defenders from the outside in like you would the receivers.
Yeah.
So you fake block the one
Uh huh.
so that inside player is hard crashing outwards
Mm-hmm.
and you replace him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing we already said. I just said it a little bit different.
Okay. All right. I'm tracking again. Yeah, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Back on the same page, boys and girls.
Yeah, I actually really like that.
I did good. I did good.
I did good. Good. I did good.
All right. A little more creativity with it. Looks like. Let me see here. Start off in basic, strong eye slot formation. Motion the deep back out into the trips is the number 2. And essentially run a curl flat concept, except rather than the number 2 run in the flat, he's just kind of running the hitch. And then you have your seam. I don't know if he's live or not, or if he's just like the, sacrifice decoy route or clear out coverage.
Yeah, then with like an in, like what, double crossers or something.
Let's see, what do we got? A looks like just
Tight end runs. Yeah,
yeah,
I almost wonder why they didn't do it as like a smash concept.
to the backside. Well, you.
No, I meant with Cart. So
Oh,
Carter's running a seam.
yeah.
I guess it would end up being more like a flood.
Yeah, if you.
If he ran a flag route, I'm calling it like a smash with a swing,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is also like kind of a flood. But
Yeah. I think with that, the idea would be that number 3 would take so long to get the proper spacing on like a corner route that your pass pro, especially in high school, has broken down by then. I know that's how like the NFL runs flood. I found this one out not too long ago of, your basic flood concept you've learned since elementary school is number 1 is on a go and he's not even part of the read. Number 2 is on a
yeah,
corner, number 3 is on a flat, and you're just reading corner to flat. NFL, number 1 is on like a deep, skinny flag route. Number 2 is on either a fat flag route or like a deep out. And number 3 is running the flat. And all 3 are live, and you can read it high, low, or low to high. But, in high school, obviously we have fast receivers, but they're not so fast that they can get to their spot to get the proper spacing quicker than your pass pros breaking down. So I think he's just more of a, maybe if they're in a too high look, he's live and you can rip it right up the pipe. Or if they're in a cover 3 like they've been most of the game, he's just kind of occupying the free safety.
yeah. So I got a question here.
Yeah.
Before you started at all, this defender that's on the 35. Damn it, Hank! I told you not to move it.
All right, I'll get us back to where we were. Don't you worry.
Yep, that's what I was worried about right there. Oh man, this is such a good team.
All right, defender on the 35.
Yeah, that's their middle linebacker that is dropping faster than Carter can run his route.
Damn.
Their middle linebacker at 15 yards downfield has more depth than, one of the fastest players on our team running a vertical. I mean, you don't see high school linebackers dropping much, or at least, a lot of the times it's not super useful when they drop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you'll see them like run with a seam route or something, but man, that's one thing I've been noticing is that their linebackers drop. They drop deep.
Yeah. And that's why, our running backs, they've been there and been able to pick up more than 5 yards on these little dump off passes. But when you have your middle linebacker that can run and stay not just even, but over top of fucking Jock Carter.
And they still have a safety above them.
Yep. Off screen,
So
but he's there.
It's not even like it's one-on-one. You just got to wait for him to clear the linebacker. You still have a safety on top of that. Just their linebackers got so much depth. That takes away a lot of concepts.
Mm-hmm. Like the interception that Slaughter threw was on our trail post concept, and that's what 12 yards downfield, and that guy was just right there in the window, a couple yards in front of it, ready to pick him off. You never see that in high school, at the high school level. And that's one of those routes that I don't know how much, our quarterbacks are reading that throughout the years versus how much it's just we're going to call this and it's going to be there. But like you said, they just were so good at getting proper depth to be able to defend what we were running. I got to watch this from the beginning because holy hell. Yeah, he did a good job of getting where he needed to be to cover that up. But, this is what I think I talked about earlier, maybe last week or the week before, about having in these, shotgun I formation looks of both backs are your running backs, being able to get a little creative with them, motioning him out and going from strong eye slot look to a nub trips look. That defenses are going to treat those two sets completely differently. And I think we came back to this play later in the game. Same motion, same formation, same motion, everything. And they covered that one up a little bit better. So I'd like to see a little more, obviously we talk about not being able to carry a shit ton of shit. But if you're going to have something like this, have maybe one or two other plays off of it that you can go back to if you get a certain look from the defense, or just in the future, how can we build off of this look? Because you're just moving one guy, but it's changing so much math for the defense that I hope we have different ways we can attack this in the future.
Yeah. You know what we would have done mind you, the defense probably wouldn't have played it like this against our team last year.
Mm-hmm.
But this would have been an 80-yard QB draw. Let those linebackers get 20 yards downfield. That's fine.
Uh-huh.
We're just going to take off. We're going to show pass, and then no, it's a run. Didn't see the draw coming, did you?
Oh, didn't see that coming. Oh, you almost had us there. But, yeah.
And not that I really want to run Slaughter a whole lot.
No.
But
he's...
Yeah. I guess it could. It could be a running back draw. It doesn't have to be a QB draw right here.
You could do so much stuff. So, just out of right there, you can run, with the tight end, you can run power to the left side with a bubble RPO or our quick screen RPO. You can run literally, any of our trips concepts that you trust your running back as a route runner. Or, if you want to get Slaughter involved in the QB run game, this would be a great look for just QB sweep left too. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this that I like, that, this team was just so fucking good that I don't know how much we could actually run against this team with that, but as far as this individual play goes, I like it. It's a good way to get to just a creative way to dress up what is essentially a basic concept. You know, one of those things we've been running since 7th grade. Good old fish. Just curl flat and...
You just learned that concept like a week ago.
All right.
The name. You just learned the name like a week ago.
No. I relearned the name in that last conversation because when you said that, I remembered that's how I was initially taught it too. And I hadn't heard that concept name, the name for that concept since like 7th grade.
It's like rip 97 fish or something, 77 or I don't know, whatever the blocking was for just pass block right or something like.
Yeah.
Rip 97 fish.
It's like I can remember my dad teaching us that concept when he was like coaching my flag football team in 3rd grade. It's like, oh, we call it fish because he's running a route that looks like a fish hook. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, he's running a curl. It's a hook. And our hand signal for it was just a fish hook. We get into our 2-minute drill, and it was just, I mean, thank God for like coaches not being amazing back then, because you know we go 2-minute drill, no huddle,
yeah.
And it was fish, smash, verts, slants, outs. I mean, like it was pretty simple. I mean, maybe we'd get a little fancy,
yeah,
and we'd go smash, smoke. And that just meant that the number 2 was running a flag post.
Gotcha. Corner post.
It would just be a corner post. But yeah, that's as fancy as we got. I mean, all you had to do is look at our hand signs, and like we weren't hiding anything. You know, hey, we're running hook flat. You know, curl flat. We're running smash. We're running slants.
Yeah.
We're running just all goes. Snakes.
Oh, good old snake route too. Yeah,
The snakes.
at least when B came in, he let us like come up with all the hand signals and shit so we could get as creative as we wanted. And you know when a bunch of high schoolers are just given free reign to name and make up hand signals for plays that it's just going to be completely indecipherable to the coaches on the opposite sideline.
Oh, yeah. All right, how many more plays we got here?
A couple more, I think. Here, just, you know, great interception by the, is that the safety? Yeah. Did we roll cover 3 to this, or did this?
Yeah, hold on. I need to rewatch this because he ends up rolling into the middle, kind of, and I think Hack goes down.
Yeah, so they run smash slant, so you replace the hitch route with the slant route. Yeah. And then the receiver at the top of the screen to their sideline runs like a slant seam. And our safety here on the near hash ends up rolling over top into the middle, just reads it out and makes the play.
Yeah, and Hack is essentially just playing a very aggressive, like, cover 4.
Okay, so we essentially have man backside, right? Down low here.
Is this just like a cover 2 man? And Hack's being more aggressive about it than the other safety was? Because it's not like Hack is running to a spot right away. He's just sitting back and reading it.
Yeah.
And he reads the initial break, and the backside safety is just kind of lingering, also reading it. I mean, is this just 2 man?
That's what it looks like to me.
The lefty quarterback and the backside safety is just shifting over to the right side of the field.
Just reading the quarterback there, following his eyes. Yeah. Wow.
Just kind of looks like a two-man to me. I don't know. Or it just plays out that way.
Let me see. What are the backers doing here?
You got a QB spy and a half drop.
Yeah, you got a spy, and then I'm guessing the guy that's. You got a spy and basically a man on the running back, essentially.
Yeah. So like just straight man with two safeties roaming around.
Yeah, wow. Good old cover two man. It looks like the. So the backer closer to the bottom of the screen, the offense's right side. He's running the spy, and then the opposite inside backer, Green Dog, blitzes from being manned up on the tackle. Or not tackle, at the T, the running back.
I was guessing it was the QB spy that blitzed. Because 9 is on the same side as the T. And
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, just good old cover two man. Interesting. It's not a call you see in high school very much. But
second and 15. Good time for it, I guess.
yeah, 2nd and 15. Probably towards the end of the half, so they're going to be very pass happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they call up a shot play. This would be a great quarters beater because coverage looks almost like pre-snap, almost identical to just a cover 4 out of a nickel package. Where if it was just straight quarters, then safety's taking the flag route when the guy runs underneath on the slant, corner's dropping off, sinking underneath the flag as well. And then your sandbacker would, drive on the slant, and as soon as he tries to do that, slant turns upfield, where as your opposite side, your safety's also occupied on his flag route, and then there's just nobody home up the middle, but we beat him with a play call. Well, I should say we beat him with a play call and great read by our safety down here.
Yep.
But also, shout out to their offensive line because he had a clean pocket to throw from. No pressure until our spy decided to, say fuck it and blitz him up an empty gap.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had 6 blockers to our 3 rushers.
Yeah, anytime you're running 8 in coverage, it's going to be hard to get past to get any sort of pass rush to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But hell of a play. Now we got the other interception. Also just phenomenal athletic play by the corner here. Just a little play action, 2-man route combo. Your guy at the top of the screen trying to run essentially just a curl. And then your guy towards the, our sideline, a corner, a go of some kind. Little post corner action.
Yeah, I don't really like the play call by them, but
No.
Whatever. That's the issue with essentially a one-man route. If he's covered, what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, you're just like, oh, I have a fail-safe. I have a Ohio State quarterback on the other side of the field. But, I mean, it ends up being you have to throw it 40 yards in the air opposite your throwing hand.
For what would amount to have been a 8-yard gain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good job by the defense and is that the jackbacker there on the rush, getting the quarterback off the spot, hurrying him up, getting him rushing away from his throwing arm. Like you said, play call kind of forces him into a bad decision, tries to force it in there, and sorry, kid, you ain't got the arm talent to thread that tight of a window.
I mean, it's a good job that the linebacker got some pressure on him because, yikes, the other defensive lineman, well, one of them got pushed downfield somehow. Big Mike ends up releasing with the running back late. Okay. But, yeah, I mean, no pressure outside of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they're like pretty much in a max protect.
Basically, yeah. You
go max protect, you only got one route, it's not open, what are you going to do? And
yeah, you got 8 guys in to protect.
You start forcing things. That's what happens.
Yep. But great play by the corner.
Yep.
Let's see here. What is this? So just, back to the power ISO defense, running 4 down, just begging us to run in between the tackles. Block it up good and
yep, got a good down block from the left guard, and the right guard pulls and kicks out well. And there you go. Was that the F or something? Comes in too.
Yeah.
Yep. So fullback kicks out, right guard kicks out, left guard down blocks, opens up a hole. I mean,
yeah,
it's nice. It's nice when you see it.
Yeah, just it's that same power ISO concept we talked about at the beginning of this. Fullback leading up, guard pulling, also leading up, ends up meeting in the hole. So, like you said, turns into kick-out blocks, I guess. But much easier to run this when they have a 3 down front rather than 5 down on the line.
Yep.
Here we showed the jet sweep early. Or the jet motion early. Might as well come back to the sweep. Can't get anything going play side. Not an ideal block by a receiver down low, but it's tough when... I'm assuming that's tough when the corner takes such an inside angle on that.
Yeah, let's see it again. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's lined up off of you and kind of inside of you. You just got to anticipate, what angle do I have to take off the line in order to cut him off? And he doesn't take it.
Right.
He steps upfield, and, there's just no chance at cutting that off if your first steps are upfield. It might not have been possible to cut him off to begin with, but, kind of ends up doing nothing after that.
Yeah.
I see that I see we have a different right tackle in at this point.
Are you looking at the end man on the line on the right side?
No, the guy inside of him.
Okay. I was going to say that's a tight end just in case.
Yeah, they got 57 at right tackle now, which is neither of the 2 sophomores we've been seeing playing right tackle. But he's not able to reach his guy, so it ends up just blowing up.
Yeah, but I just wanted to go back and a quick point on, like you said, as a receiver, taking that angle in space and knowing you're going to have to do that, especially with you can see him like looking inside and reading the backfield. It's similar as like going to go back to my time, a center having to block back and replace for a pulling guard on a 3-tech. You know that 3-tech's going to come upfield, so rather than opening up to attack him where he's at, I need to pull completely flat and get down the line and attack him where he's going to be. And this is just one of those instances where, that those concepts just kind of translate to anywhere else on the football field of you have to take that proper angle to get where he's going to be rather than just a little bit lazy off the line and trying to read it post snap.
Yeah, I mean, great job by Malone here of, making something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Because we definitely didn't give him any opportunity to run the play the way it was supposed to be run.
Yeah, right here, a whole lot of nothing. I mean, tight end doing his best to. He's in a great position to like just wash the end down if you're running just a standard outside zone, which I'm guessing this blocking is. But yeah, like you said, that right tackle has just gotten completely beat. He's turned around and there's just nothing going on that one. And then you have the corner outside to clean up. That's a tough spot to be, and to get anything out of this run. We got athletes.
Yeah, and then I mean, running back ends up not really blocking the corner either. Just kind of misses him or goes right past him. Kind of whiffs on it.
Yeah, corner hits him with a little Olay. I mean, hell of a. I think the corner should put this in his highlight reel. Basically makes two guys miss, puts himself in a great position to make a play.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's so difficult to block corners in space if you're, trying to get into their chest. Because all they have to do is just sidestep you one way or the other. And, I mean, you're not going to block them like that.
No.
You gotta break down and, kind of force him. The corner's in a great spot, so it makes it tough. But because he's close enough to the play that you have to attack him, you can't just do what I normally say of just get in the way. Because now he's an active defender in the run lane. But, it's just a good example of how tough it is to try to block a corner out in space or really anybody in space without holding, because all they have to do is sidestep a little bit and, you can't get hands on their chest anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess you just got to take a good angle and go for one of their hips and
hope for the best.
If they sidestep a little bit, just go that way also. But, great job by Malone making something out of nothing. Ends up on the highlight tape.
This one, not much really.
2-yard pass. All right, cool.
Yeah, not much really.
Is film room over? Are we done?
Yeah, just about. Nothing really going here. Don't know why it's on it.
Okay. Well, I had to go to the bathroom 20 minutes ago.
All right.
So I'm going now.
All right. Back from the potty break. Just a quick little highlight tape of Canisius's wide receiver / Sam linebacker. We'll get through pretty quick and just, anything interesting that catches your eye.
Good athlete.
This looks like a screen and go, I think. Let me see.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, a very unconvincing bubble screen and go, but it's kind of hard to fake it with the pressed corner like that, but he bites on the bubble, so receiver gets out in space and makes a play. Nice little sideline pitch and catch, just a quick little 10-yard out.
No, this one's on 4th down. Yeah, he looks like a pretty good player.
Mm-hmm. But tell me what you think of this one, though, because he's running basically like a sit route. I think the concept is they're trying to open it up for that wheel route behind it.
Yeah.
And, gets there, quarterback scrambling a little bit, and he just kind of hangs out, doesn't really do too much. He's just there. As a receiver, you'd think you see your guy in a scramble drill, you would also try and work your way open, but, it gets the job done.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete that you can tell he takes, being a receiver seriously,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not overly polished. He's still got quite a bit of work to do to be a polished receiver.
So what makes you say that?
It's like the first play, I thought he looked pretty good on that one,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that was just like pure athleticism. On the one out route, he really like chopped his feet, broke down, so you can tell like he's trying, he's doing like the right things. This one's a little bit like lazier,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just a go get open. It's not really like a speed out, but it's kind of there's no reason to have a hard break in it. But I don't know. He looks a little just like choppy, a little bit like not robotic, but very like planned. And then this one is just kind of like I don't know. It's not. It doesn't have to be a great route,
Yeah.
but um, I don't know. I guess if there's more of him, you'll be able to see it. But it kind of reminds me of like what a good receiver looks like when they're like freshmen, sophomores,
Mm-hmm.
because you can tell they're good, but it's still,
They have to think about it a little more rather than it just being natural.
yeah. Like if you watch like Tolles run his routes, they're usually very smooth, natural feeling. It's not as staged when he's doing it. It's not as choppy. This guy, this is a bad example because I think this is the worst look of him out of any player we've watched so far.
Yeah.
The last one, you can even tell he doesn't like feel his way over to the middle
Mm-hmm.
to where he sits down. He kind of like takes his 2 steps, breaks in a little bit, and then like he runs the route, like he runs the Madden route.
Yeah.
And like you can tell he takes it seriously of how he runs it, but it's just not. It doesn't seem like he has that natural feel of I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm really comfortable out here reading the defense, feeling the defense out.
I gotcha. Now, I think the one thing I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with this route of how like just rounded and quick it is I think he's more there of just you're trying to pull coverage with him, but if you can get the throw, then you can get the throw. Because if you watch they're lined up in like a tight end wing set, and the inline tight end ends up sneaking out underneath into the flat as well. So it looks like he's more there just to get to his spot as quick as possible and occupy coverage to get this tight end open in space. See what I mean? But the defense is just playing so far off, quarterback can take it and he goes for it. But everything else you're saying, I get it. It's kind of like, thinking about everything in your golf swing where it might end up everything's done right, but you can just tell you're thinking about it too much. It's coming from a guy who's played 9 holes of golf in his life.
Yeah, this just looks like a JV play to me. Like he turns around and like instead of speeding up, he slows down,
Mm-hmm.
and then the quarterback throws a lollipop, even though it's only an 8-yard pass. And I just feel like our guys would probably hit that a little bit harder
Yeah.
because they know that corner is going to come crashing down, and our quarterback would throw it more on a line because he knows the defender is going to come crashing down. So you see a lot of young receivers do this when they come out of their break. They slow down because they're like looking for the ball,
Hmm.
even though they're not supposed to be getting the ball coming out of their break. Like they might run a flag, but as soon as they turn, just that aspect of turning their head slows their whole body down.
Yeah.
And the second half of their route is half-assed, even though they're not trying to slow down. It's just like natural to, young receivers will do that. They turn and they're like looking, and it's kind of like that's what he does right here. He turns and he's like looking for the ball, and maybe he is expecting it to be right on his chest as soon as he turns around, but this paired with the lollipop throw just like screams freshman JV football to me.
I gotcha, and I can see that. Very
But I mean, the other plays didn't look like that.
right.
But that's why I was like, this is probably a bad example. But so he's getting pressed here. Let's see. Not going to get pressed. Just a very static, 5 yards and out. He's not trying to draw the safety in, or he could have ran right into the corner's back and not had a clue. It just seems very robotic, Madden routes.
Hmm.
Take your 5 steps, turn left. It ends up being a horrible play design because the running back
Is right.
who's,
Yeah, right there, basically.
mind you, if that's who I think it is, let me pull this back up. Yeah, so I mean, that is a like All-American right there.
The
Um,
running back.
yeah, so number 0. So I mean, he might have enough feel for the game that he's like, yeah, nothing's open here. But by jogging his route, he ends up being right in the exact same spot as the receiver when the ball comes out, and really just has too many people in the same spot. And if there wasn't a guy number 78 dropping into
Oh
coverage,
God.
72,
Yeah.
if there wasn't a number 72 dropping into coverage, this is a pick six.
That is a god awful play design. If I have
Let me run an out against a motioned running back seam. So it's not just a seam, it's not just a seam and an out.
yeah.
It's a motioned off the line running back running a seam on the outside and then an out. Who do you think gets there first? They're going to get there at the exact same time, and it's just a horrible play design. But, you got 72 right here dropping into coverage, and it looks like it's his first time ever running backwards in his life.
Oh God. He dropped into coverage and he heard the dun 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 dun. Like he thought he was the main character and he was going for 6 here, and he ends up on somebody else's highlight tape.
Man, I thought you were going to go Family Guy tuba player on me, but yeah.
No, he heard like the main character theme, like Olympic theme music, and he just ends up on the ground. Tough scene.
I mean, you can tell he's a good athlete, and we'll go over the roster after this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's a Division I football player.
Just
Maybe it's probably more for defense. We'll see.
yeah.
I mean, you can tell he's a good athlete, and he looks more natural here. But normally, you're going to be more natural on defense because you don't have a plan of what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. You're just
You're
reacting.
You're reacting based off of what's happening on you. And I mean, not to say that you don't have rule sets. It's all a chess match. If they do this, I do that.
Yeah.
But you're still reacting. It's not, I'm going to take 8 steps backwards and then cut right. Whereas you can draw up a play on offense, and that's exactly what they're going to do. That's what I did, unfortunately, in high school. I was so worried about doing everything exactly how they drew it up
Mm-hmm.
that's really the worst way to do it. When I played on scout team, I would do things my way. I'd do it based off of feel. I would adjust the routes based on the coverage. But for whatever reason, when I was on priority, it was just like, if they say do a 12-yard curl, I do a 12-yard curl. I don't care if the corner's stopped at 10. I'm going to run 12. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to run right into the back of the corner. I'm not open.
Yeah.
Because that's what they said to do. And, you have to have feel for the game, and you have to be able to adjust. And the name of the game is get open.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to get open. That's all they care about. They draw it up a certain way because that's what's supposed to be open, but humans are humans and kids are kids, and the defense isn't always going to react the way you think you are. So doing those static Madden routes is not the way to get open.
So with that, we'll get on out of film room, go over the roster real
You don't
quick.
have any highlights of the All-American running back on their team? Not a one?
He doesn't have any highlights from this year now. I checked.
That's all right. I'm tired of film room.
Yeah. So we'll get on out of here, go over their roster, and finish her up. All right, so the 1-0 number 6 team in the state of New York, Canisius, coming off of a 39-25 win over whatever a Scranton Prep is, coming into Mass on this Friday. Let's take a look at their roster.
Starting with the offensive line, they have some decent size up front: 6'3", 255, 6'3", 265, 6'2", 240, 6'2", 285, and 6'5", 300. So pretty decent size, but maybe not the most polished offensive line group that we've seen this year.
Yeah, pretty much. I think they get a lot of their going in the run game, more so from the fact that their running back's a dude, which we'll touch on him, and just having big bodies out there more so than talent or technique up front. Nothing much really going as far as names. I mean, left tackle Alex Engelhaupt, pretty solid lineman name, and George Wiley the fifth. Anytime you have a name that's like conventional, just like, hey George, that's a fifth generation. Hey, you must be doing something pretty right.
Yeah. They do have a tight end who's a senior, 6'4", 235. He is committed to play football at UNLV, but based off of what we've been watching, by all means, kind of an average to a slightly above average player. Not really anything to write home about, but he is committed to play football at a Division I college. Let's see, receivers. The one that we just watched, senior, 6'1", 180. He has a Division I football offer to Buffalo. Decent athlete, but in case you didn't watch the film session, which I imagine if you're doing this on podcast form, the amount of people that probably skip film is high. So decent athlete, but he kind of looks really static and robotic back there as a receiver, but he is their favorite target by far. The other receivers are both sophomores, 6'2", 175 and 5'5", 110, which I'm kind of hoping is a typo. But he also plays some defense and is notably undersized. So I don't know. 5'5", 110 is usually not big enough to be on a football field, no matter how good you are.
No. That is, I mean, I played at 5'5", but I also had 100 pounds on this kid. That is not a lot of human out there playing high-level football.
Yeah. Running back, that's the name of the game for him. He's only a sophomore, but 5'10", 190. He is an All-American. He's the number one running back in his class, or at least the number one running back in New York for his class. I just saw a thing from him the other day, and he's really, really good. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Offers from a bunch of big schools like Michigan, Oregon, just a couple top 10, I guess now top 20, soon to be not a top 50 college.
Damn right.
Their quarterback, junior, 5'10", 180. We just watched some highlights of him, and he didn't look overly impressive to me on there. Kind of some soft lollipop throws. Very, very simple route combos that they're doing. Spacing all seemed off, but I wouldn't imagine we'd have a hard time getting a couple PBUs and potentially an interception or two if they try to do that kind of stuff against us. But it looks like their running back is the team there on offense, and then they also use the one receiver a little bit.
Yeah. Just going back, their fullback number 7, Arno Mbayo. Arno, great fullback first name. Mbayo's not a common heavy run hitter name, but Arno, just that sounds like a fullback right there. But I do want to talk about the running back real quick, just a little bit. I understand with the number 0 being, allowed to be worn nowadays that the dude always wants to have number 0, but can we get a little creativity, please? Because I think this is like the third team we've seen this year, and we're only in week 4, that the guy who their offense runs through is number 0. Get a number 5, a number, I don't know, number 2, number 1, just some dip. Let's get a little variety in our dudes' numbers out there, please.
All right, so moving on to the defense. Their entire defensive line is comprised of seniors. Worth noting is this team does have plenty of players that go both ways. So, we don't see that all that often anymore with a lot of the teams that we're playing, the caliber of teams that we play. Usually you have offensive players, defensive players, but this team does have guys going both ways. So defensive line, decent size, 6'4", 235. That is their tight end. That is going to UNLV. Defense seems to be the better half of his game. 6'5", 300, 6'2", 285, 6'4", 220 is the defensive line.
And yeah, like you said, a lot of two-way players of note. They have 2 of their starting offensive linemen, their starting tight end, and a rotational tight end, all listed as their starting front 4 on defense.
Yeah, I mean, and it keeps going on if you go to the linebackers. So Jaden Clark, that receiver that we watched film of, and 1 play of defense, 6'1", 180. Middle linebacker, 6'1", 215, which is your boy Arno. And then 6'2", 200 is the other linebacker.
46, I think he's playing, that pretty decent inside linebacker number right there.
That was E-Money's number, I think. All right, move on to safeties.
Shout out E-Money. That's a human I haven't thought of in a decade.
Junior, 5'8", 175. And a sophomore who's 5'5", 110. So the guy that's 5'5", 110, the scouting report on him is that he's not great. He's not big. He's probably not very physical. He's not the best jump ball defending player. He's not great against the run. Doesn't fill run lanes real well.
But by God, is he out there?
Doesn't eat food very well. The people at the buffet love him. They make double profit when he shows up.
Oh, the profit margin on that guy at the Chinese buffet has to be just outstanding.
Pennies. Yeah. It's normally only a penny, but they make pennies off of him. Cornerbacks. The All-American running back is one of their starting corners, 5'10", 190, and the other corner is a freshman, 5'9", 165.
Yeah. Obviously, lacking some size and some key starting positions on defense. A lot of two-way players. That's always going to be tough when you're coming into, play a team of our caliber where we have, we're not exclusively a 2-platoon unit. Everybody, offense only plays offense, defense only plays defense, but we have enough guys everywhere that we don't have to ask our guys to do this. So that's, something you saw at the most extreme level with East St. Louis where, yeah, they came out and they were hot and they did a lot of good stuff against us, but you see them get worn down over the course of the game. So definitely something to look out for. I would be running just rotating receivers, running verticals at number 0 all game to get him tired out. Just keep him running just gassers all game as much as possible.
Yeah.
Kind of just an overview on them. Defense, they base out of a 4-down cover 3 look, not too dissimilar from what we saw last week with Bergen Catholic. The main key difference there is their starting free safeties probably about 95 pounds smaller, and they have significantly less dudes. But they will get into a little bit of a heavy, bare front look that can give you some trouble if you want to try and just pound the ball down their throat. It just, so many numbers at the point of attack causing a mess. That's something going to have to look to find some different ways to attack it. So I'm looking for that chess match there.
I know how to attack it. Pick me. Pick me.
We have a
Pick me.
suggestion from the audience. Yes, go ahead,
Yes.
sir.
I think this is the game where Hack gets to play some receiver again, and you go trips or whatever formation you want. But we're just gonna run screen to Hack every single play, and we're gonna block whichever defender is not the 5'5", 110-pound sophomore, and make him come up and tackle Hack one-on-one every time.
You know what? I don't hate that idea. That's one of those little bullshit gimmicky things that I think just might be able to work against a team like this.
Okay, I get it. That's a bullshit one. Another suggestion: pick me. Pick me.
Yes, you
Pick
and
me.
the black shirt there.
Yeah. Big Mike plays receiver.
I don't care what you're about to say next. I'm locked in. Yes, we're doing it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You want to guess the second part of the play design?
Quick screen to him. Block whatever guy's not the 110-pound 5'5" free safety and make him tackle Big Mike in the open field.
What, are you stealing my signs or something now?
I got this defensive assistant on the payroll.
Because no one would have ever guessed that somebody would come up with that play design right now.
I don't know where he gets it from, but he's always got great scouting reports for us. He seems to be pretty good at breaking down film and stuff. So he just, I'm just not going to ask any questions and just jump ship before everything goes to shit. Yes, you down front here.
You know that play that we ran last week where Zimmerman comes out and fakes a block?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want him to do that, but not fake the block.
So just come out.
Specifically on one player.
So just come out at a full sprint and... No, I don't want Zimmerman doing that. I want a guy that we're comfortable with not playing next game and just sell out on that block because he's, might be... Well, the way I would teach that particular block in this scenario is the way you would teach a wedge buster in the dirtiest way possible. Mm-hmm. And
we have one of those.
And when he gets kicked out of the game and not allowed to play next week, you're okay with it because that was his job and he gets the gold star after the game. Okay. Now, are we blocking the not 5'5" guy, or can we run that particular play at the 5'5" guy? Because I think just that visual of him completely decleated would be...
Yeah, no, we're running the blocking at the sophomore 5'5" kid. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the over under on air yards he goes?
He might not land, so over any number you can think of.
All right, so we're taking quality MOB home run ball distance here. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah. 2x2.
Yeah.
2x2. We're gonna do our little sparrow screen.
Uh-huh.
So then inside guy can kick out the corner and Davenport can release out on the safety. Specifically the side that has the 5'5", 110-pound kid at safety.
Oh, that kid might just turn to dust. That'll be so bad. I don't think we've ever told it on the podcast before, but can you explain the story behind the sparrow screen?
Yeah, so when Coach Woods was here my sophomore year, so the 2009 season, they designed the receiver tunnel screen, mm-hmm. Where most of the time it was a single receiver side, I believe, and the tackle would release out and normally block the corner. But the whole point of it being called Sparrow is because they let Rob Partridge, the quarterback at the time, come up with the name of it, and he named it Sparrow after Captain Jack Sparrow because he was a really big Pirates of the Caribbean guy.
And this goes back to the conversation about letting the kids pick and name the plays and the hand signals, because there is absolutely zero connection between Sparrow and a fucking tunnel screen.
Yeah.
But Get me any play with Davenport out in space taking that kid's head off. We're not praying for injuries here, but at a certain point, you have to acknowledge a starting football player anywhere on the field that's five.
It's really gross negligence on the coach's part.
Yeah. I mean, essentially after this play, their head coach could probably get charged with manslaughter.
Yeah.
So offensively, like we saw, offense really runs through number 0, running back. He is much bigger and faster than 5'5", 110. They have a robot running Madden routes out there that can get open a little bit, but like you said, a little bit of JV squad-ish type play. So, you got anything else on them?
I would question where you got the ranking from of them being the 6th ranked team in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to remember, New York does all those really funky regions and divisions and state champions. So they could be like the 6th best team in their city and be considered the 6th best ranked. They just do their divisions and regions really, really, really weird in New York. So I would question, what is their actual ranking compared to other New York teams? If we're looking at max preps, how many New York teams are ranked higher than them?
Yeah,
probably more than 5.
I forget where I got that from. Could have been a newspaper article, could have been Facebook somewhere, could have been their own Facebook just pumping up those numbers. But, if we're trying to make this win look as good as possible, not that I'm expecting us to come out and win, but I'm expecting us to come out and win. You want to try and fluff up the competition as much as possible, so the win looks better at the end of the season on the resume.
Yep.
So, that all you got tonight for us, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. So with that, everybody get out there on Friday. Weather's supposed to be much nicer, I assume. Haven't even looked at it. I'm just kind of willing that into existence. Get into Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. Watch the Tigers take on the number 6 team from New York. And go Tigers. Beat Canisius.
Go Tigers.
Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone. So smart, she's leading me to ozone. Music, the great communicator. Used 2 sticks to make it in the nature. I'll fit you into penetration. The gender of a generation. The birth of every other nation. Look your way to go to meditation. This chapter's gonna be a close one. Smoke rings, I know you're gonna blow one. All on a spaceship persevering. Use my hands for everything but steering. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. Mob tops are happy when they feed you. J-butterflies in the treetop. Birds that blow the meaning in the leaf. The world I love, the tears I drop to be. station. Distant us into the reservation. Default the pistol that you pay for. Just pump the feeling that you stay for. In time I want to be your best friend. Eastside love is living on the west end. Knocked off before you better come to. Don't die, you know the truth is some do. Go write your message on the pavement. Burn so bright, I wonder what the wave meant. Kickstart the golden generate hub. Sweet talk but don't intimidate hub. Can't stop the gods from engineering. Feel no need for any interfering. Your image in the dictionary. This life is more than ordinary. Can I get you maybe even 3 of these? Coming from a space to teach you of the Pleiades. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. This life is more than just a read through.